Welcome to our 5 on 5. We're pleased to have Tammy Westergard, the Library Director for Jackson County Library Services, as well as Maureen Swift, the Library Board Vice President. Ladies, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having us.
My pleasure. So tell us, Tammy, first, tell us about your role as the director. Do you oversee all the libraries in the county?
I do, yes. So my role as the library director is to implement the vision of the library board of directors. So day-to-day operations, being a part of the leadership team with the board, and then just making sure that we can deliver on those plans.
Yeah, certainly a lot's changed in the last year with the library. And Maureen, tell us about the board and how obviously we've transitioned from county overseeing the libraries now to the board. Tell us how that process has kind of come about.
It was a very interesting year. We took over in July of last year after the election, and our first year was really hit the ground running. We're building a government from scratch,
Sure.
which had its own challenges. In addition to that, we were working our way through what it meant to take the libraries and move them from being under the county jurisdiction to the jurisdiction of the board. Certain aspects of the library system had to remain with the county. The contract with LSSI ran through the end of, actually through June of this year, and so we had to wait for that to finish for us to officially take over operations.
Okay.
Although we were working in cooperation with the county. And then we just had to remove ourselves from the county. There were a lot of piece parts to that you don't necessarily think of. The county maintained vehicles that the library used. So we had to buy those vehicles. We had to make arrangements for maintenance. There were the buildings themselves, which was a bit of a emotional, I guess, is the piece. We really felt like we should have the buildings and wanted them. The county was concerned about turning them over prior to the bonds being paid off in 2020. And there were some other issues. Some of the various locales owned the land that the buildings were on. It became a little more complicated than we had originally thought, so we ended up contracting with the county for the use of the buildings. We're not paying them anything. The counties are maintaining the major structure of the buildings. We're responsible for day-to-day maintenance. Okay. And, come 2020, when the bonds are paid off, it is the intent of the county at that time to turn them over to the district.
Wow, yeah, so much changing with that transition. Okay, I want to talk about programming changes as well, as you guys are making a lot of adjustments there. But first, we're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. Again, we're here with Tammy Westergard and Maureen Swift talking about the Jackson County Library Services. So let me start, Tammy, with you and talk about the changes you guys have made since the library board took over. It's been about a year now, so what has changed? You guys have added hours?
We have added hours across the system. In January, we added, wasn't it
58?
Yeah, 58 hours.
Wow.
So it's been great to be able to have our doors open longer. We're open 7 days a week somewhere in the county.
Yeah.
That's been fantastic. In addition, Craig, the emerging role that libraries are playing in the 21st century really does kind of color a library patron's experience. You can get resources. That's library speak for books.
Thank you.
But you can also access books on, your Kindle, on all of your different kinds of electronic devices. You can access the internet. You can use computers. You can do a number of things that really do reflect what it means to be an information seeker in the 21st century. So all of that is available in each of our libraries, and we're just really excited about the future. We know that we're going to continue to play an important role as we engage with residents and visitors alike, and in a lot of ways help people level up their skills to what they need, to be strong members of the community, to get jobs, all of those kinds of things.
Yeah, and stable funding obviously helps you guys, kind of know what you're doing a little bit easier. You can count on that, and that's so important. So, Maureen, what about you have so many libraries? How do you tailor each of those in these different little communities throughout the county?
Each of the buildings themselves, when they first were built, many of them about 10 years ago now. I know the Medford Library has been open about 11. The community had input into how the building was put together, and many of them have design features that reflect their communities. I think particularly of Shady Cove being right on the Rogue River, and there, if you drive by it, you will see there's a salmon on the outside of the building. They're all reflective of their community in some way. we're actually heading now that we've, gotten past the rush of the first year. Later this week, the district board, along with Tammy, we're going to be meeting for a couple of days to look at the future of the library.
Okay.
What it is that we like about it, what it is that needs to change. And we're going to enter into a strategic planning process where we're planning on holding meetings in every single one of our communities to get input from those people as to what they see is needed in their community. Not just from the standpoint of their library, but what they see needs to be done in their community. Because as Tammy alluded to, there are so many things that the library can do in a community beyond just the traditional lending of books. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to reduce this down to just what can our library do. Mm-hmm. We want to be very expansive and say, what are your community needs? And then we'll take that input from each of our communities, as well as some of the other, like the business community, the education community locally, to see what it is that the needs are out there and see what we can do to best serve those needs.
Okay, and
Well
people can
said.
find out more about those meetings and
Yeah.
when they're happening and how they
Yeah.
can be a part of it on the website, is that right?
Absolutely. jcls.org is our website, and there's a lot of good stuff out there. You can actually do things like learn a foreign language on our website, believe it or not,
There you
it's
go.
database.
Yeah.
So all you need is a library
Yeah,
card.
play around on there. You get to learn a new language.
Absolutely.
Pretty cool. All
You
right.
can also find us on Facebook.
There you go. Thank you very
we'll
much.
we'll continue that conversation on Facebook as well.
Very nice. All right,
Yeah.
ladies, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having
Thank you.
us.
My pleasure. Stay with us. We'll be right back.